Mount Everest, the ultimate challenge for climbers, a place where dreams are made and many come to an end. In May 2006, British mountaineer David Sharp set out on a solo expedition to the world's highest peak. But what should have been the greatest achievement of his life became his final climb. Stranded at 8,500 meters, alone and freezing, Sharp was still alive, but over 40 climbers passed him by. Why was he left behind? Could he have been saved? This is his story. David Sharp was born on February 15, 1972, in Harpenden, Hertfordshire, England, a town located north of London. He grew up in a conventional middle-class environment with a keen intellect and an adventurous spirit that would later define his life. His early years were marked by a strong academic inclination, which led him to excel in his studies. Sharp attended Prior Pursglove College in Guisborough, North Yorkshire, where he distinguished himself as a bright and dedicated student. His academic achievements earned him a place at the University of Nottingham, where he pursued a degree in mechanical engineering. He graduated in 1993 with a strong foundation in problem-solving and technical analysis, skills that he would later apply both in his professional career and his mountaineering pursuits. While his formal education focused on engineering, Sharp harbored a deep passion for the outdoors. As a child and young adult, he was drawn to adventure, exploring the British countryside and developing an appreciation for physical endurance challenges. He had a particular fascination with mountains and climbing, an interest that grew steadily over the years. Unlike many who take up mountaineering later in life, Sharp demonstrated a natural affinity for the sport early on, gradually honing his skills on smaller peaks before progressing to more demanding climbs. After completing his studies, Sharp embarked on a professional career in engineering. He secured a job with Q, a British defense technology company, where he worked on various engineering projects. However, despite the stability and promise of his career, Sharp felt an increasing pull toward the mountains. He often took time off from work to travel and climb, demonstrating an unwavering commitment to his passion. In 2005, after years of balancing his engineering job with his climbing aspirations, Sharp made a significant decision. He left his job to pursue a teacher training course, with plans to begin a new career as a school teacher in the autumn of 2006. Teaching would have allowed him a lifestyle that better suited his adventurous nature, giving him time to continue exploring the world's highest peaks. Throughout his early life, Sharp exhibited a mix of intellectual curiosity, determination, and independence. He was known among his peers as a modest, soft-spoken individual with a sharp wit and a great sense of humor. He did not seek the spotlight and was driven purely by personal passion rather than external recognition. His self-reliant nature became a defining trait of his mountaineering career, as he often chose to climb without guides or extensive support, preferring a minimalist and pure approach to the sport. This independent and disciplined mindset would later propel him to some of the highest mountains in the world. He had already conquered Cho-Oyu, the world's sixth highest peak, and was known for his remarkable strength and acclimatization abilities. Sharp appeared briefly in the first season of the television show Everest Beyond the Limit, showcasing his climbing prowess and adventurous spirit. A purist at heart, he believed in climbing without supplemental oxygen, a philosophy that reflected his desire for self-reliance and a more authentic mountaineering experience. This pursuit of pure adventure would ultimately lead him to a fateful choice on the slopes of Everest in 2003. On his first attempt, Sharp was part of a group led by British climber Richard Dugan. Although Sharp was considered the strongest member of the team, he developed frostbite during the ascent. This forced the entire group to turn back before reaching the summit. Sharp ultimately lost some toes due to the frostbite. He tried again in 2004 when Sharp joined a Franco-Austrian expedition, but failed to reach the summit, stopping at 8,500 meters. Reports indicate that he struggled to keep pace with the rest of the team. Additionally, there were disagreements between Sharp and the expedition leader regarding the use of supplemental oxygen, as Sharp preferred not to use it. In 2006, Sharp embarked on his third Everest expedition, driven by an unwavering determination to reach the summit. Having attempted the climb in 2004, reaching 8,500 meters before turning back, he was no stranger to the mountain's challenges. This time, however, he opted for a basic services package from Asian Trekking, choosing to climb independently, without Sherpa support or a guide, and with minimal oxygen. In case you don't know, a Sherpa on Mount Everest is a member of the Sherpa ethnic group, indigenous to the Himalayan region of Nepal and Tibet. They are renowned for their exceptional mountaineering skills, endurance, and ability to thrive at high altitudes. He specifically requested this minimalist approach, foregoing comforts like cooks and excess amenities, embracing a raw and unsupported climb. Jamie McGuinness, a seasoned climber who knew Sharp, even offered him a place on a better supported expedition, but Sharp declined, resolute in his decision to climb solo. This independent spirit, while admirable, carried inherent risks, especially given his decision to not carry a radio or satellite phone. Sharp was acutely aware of the dangers he faced, but his desire to test his limits and achieve a summit on his own terms ultimately outweighed these concerns. This was a decision that would have profound consequences. Sharp set out from Everest's North Col on the night of May 13, 2006, aiming to reach the summit via the Northeast Ridge. This route, while historically significant, is also notoriously treacherous due to its exposed ridges, extreme weather, and lack of rescue options. The exact details of his ascent remain unclear. It is believed that Sharp made good progress, as he was later spotted by other climbers near the infamous third step, a steep rock face at around 8,750 meters, 28,700 feet. However, he was moving very slowly, a concerning sign at such a high altitude where time is crucial. Some climbers saw him still ascending late into the day on May 14th, long past the recommended turnaround time. By nightfall, Sharp had either reached the summit or turned back just before it. The lack of photographic evidence and his missing camera make it impossible to confirm whether he stood atop the world's highest peak. However, what is certain is that he began his descent far too late, in deteriorating weather conditions and already suffering from extreme exhaustion. Late on May 14, 2006, David Sharp set off from his high camp, venturing into the unforgiving death zone of Mount Everest. He began his ascent through the treacherous exit cracks, a series of steep, icy gullies that lead to the Northeast Ridge. He then faced the daunting 3 steps, challenging rock faces that demand technical skill and unwavering focus. Problems exacerbating the challenges he faced. Fatigue, dehydration, and disorientation set in, making each step a struggle. In the darkness, with his body nearing exhaustion, he sought shelter in Green Boots Cave, a small overhang at 28,000 feet. This cave, located just below the first step on the Northeast Ridge, was a grim landmark named after the body of Tsewang Paljor, an Indian climber who had perished there in 1996. It was here, in this icy refuge, that David Sharp's struggle for survival would reach its tragic climax. As the first rays of dawn broke on May 15th, climbers began their summit attempts, encountering David Sharp huddled in Green Boots Cave. Some, in the darkness and harsh conditions, may have mistaken him for the long-deceased Green Boots. Others, recognizing his dire condition, were constrained by their own limited oxygen and the extreme conditions. A team of Turkish climbers, noticing Sharp was alive but severely frostbitten and suffering from oxygen deprivation, attempted to help. However, their efforts were hampered by a member of their own team experiencing medical issues, forcing them to prioritize their descent. Later, a team including double amputee Mark Inglis, who was himself battling severe frostbite, passed Sharp. They acknowledged his perilous state but felt unable to provide effective aid given his critical condition and the risks involved in a rescue at that altitude. Sharp's last words, spoken to a Sherpa who tried to assist him, were, "My name is David Sharp. I'm with Asian Trekking, and I just want to sleep." By the time more climbers came across him later that morning, Sharp was no longer responsive. He had likely succumbed to hypothermia and oxygen deprivation, his body frozen in a seated position. News of Sharp's death and the fact that numerous climbers had passed him by ignited a storm of controversy and a heated ethical debate. Sir Edmund Hillary, the first to summit Everest, condemned the climber's actions as selfish, lamenting the perceived decline of mountaineering ethics. Sharp's mother, who had been reassured by her son that "you are never on your own on the mountain," was left to grapple with the tragic reality of his lonely death. However, she did not blame other climbers for her son's death. Others also defended the climbers, arguing that the extreme conditions and the inherent dangers of high-altitude mountaineering made rescue attempts incredibly risky. even impossible. They highlighted the challenges of body recovery in the death zone, citing the example of a Korean expedition that struggled to move even a single deceased climber just 500 feet. The David Sharp tragedy brought to light the complex moral dilemmas faced by climbers in the death zone. It highlighted the tension between personal ambition and the responsibility to assist others in need, particularly when those actions could jeopardize one's own survival. Beck Weathers, a climber who survived a near-death experience on Everest, argued that even if someone is beyond saving, climbers should at least offer comfort and companionship in their final moments. Others questioned whether the increasing commercialization of Everest had eroded the spirit of camaraderie and led to a prioritization of summiting over safety and ethical considerations. The debate surrounding Sharp's death continues to this day, prompting climbers and the wider public to grapple with the ethical complexities of mountaineering in extreme environments. David Sharp's body remained in Green Boots' cave for over a year, becoming another grim landmark along the route to Everest's summit. In 2007, it was discreetly moved out of sight in accordance with efforts to clear Everest of visible human remains. His death remains one of the most haunting reminders of the dangers of high-altitude mountaineering and the ethical dilemmas climbers face when deciding between personal ambition and the life of another.